Thanks for staying with us. We'll take a look at assessing the challenges, the investments, and prospects in Nigeria's agricultural sector to arrest this ongoing food inflation crisis. Lady Grace Titi Fredson, the president of NACOMWAB, is live here on the program to delve into these issues and give us an insight on how we can navigate our way out of these many challenges. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Michael.
Thanks so much for finding time to join us.
I appreciate. Thank you for inviting me.
Now, we understand that part of what NACOMWAP do is to see how they can address some of these issues. But let's look at the challenges we are already in. The food inflation crisis is sitting deep every day. We've seen people protesting because of hunger and all of that. To you, what are those things that you've identified that we were doing before, but now we are not practicing it, and that's where we are today? Because one may ask, where are we right now?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Michael. So first of all, we're going to look at the challenges that we have. We'll just look at just few challenges. We have numerous challenges in Nigeria.
The one
but
that
we'll
is
just
really
look at
relatable.
few that we know that is we have quick fix to it. One of it is poor access to farm inputs, implement and their rising costs. And as we know that if our farmers do not have access to these inputs will mean it could be seedlings, or and then the farm inputs that enable them to carry out this farming activity. Definitely is going to cause a rise in food prices, which is the inflation that's biting everyone. One of the second challenge is the low adoption of technologies that we have, mechanized agriculture, mechanized farming. We cannot keep sustaining Nigeria with subsistence farming, and unfortunately, the over 70% of the farmers that are sustaining our food production, that are producing for us, for Nigeria, are using subsistence farming. And that cannot sustain us. That could have been possible when we were 40-something million, but not now that we're over 200 million. So it means that that is a challenge. We'll come to the solution, but now we're identifying the challenge. Another challenge that we could be looking at will be lack of infrastructure. Fine, we have these subsistence farmers producing the various crop and livestock production, but they need to have access, road, railway access, and even storage, like the federal government putting in place silos. They need to have silos. They need to have where to store those things, because if we don't have that network, road network, and railway network, we're going to have challenges of getting these things out before they spoil. So you find out that we're having a high rate of post-harvest losses, which is actually really happening now. I think that's the second or third. The fourth one we've looked at is limited adoption of technologies and of research finding and technologies. Currently on the various social media, we have a lot of people pass wrong information about the Telsa maize seed that is being made available without having empirical evidence of saying that GMO are wrong to be used. They tell you, they post a whole lot of things. None of them have given us any empirical evidence to what they have been sharing, whereby building a narrative in our farmers or in our crop producers not to assess if they can assess those technologies or those research farming, not to research findings, not to assess them. They have already built that blockade, that narrative that they are dangerous for health. Now, we need to know that before Telsa or Bill Gates Foundation comes up with any findings, they go through a stringent process, and they have this peer-to-peer review, which has to be accepted, and you have this your farm, a few trials that are being done, lab trials that are being done to test and ensure it's good for human consumption before they can come out to the public to sell. So those limitations add to it. We talk about lack of access to credit, which I'm sure most people will be thinking that should be the first thing we should be talking about. I would like to say this in this point, that when we look at the oil and gas, I'll bring typical example. We look at BOI. When they're giving funds to the oil and gas, they give them funds in dollar, and they have programs for community contractors. They give them 5% interest rate. And in the oil and gas, the margin is even very attractive. We're talking about 20, 25, even 40% margin, profit margin. Then we come to the agricultural sector. We see that the banks are offering rates above, that are not one-digit rate. Even when they do, like we give credence to BOA, thank you, they give one-digit rate, but they now start asking for things that a rural or grassroots or peasant farmer cannot provide. So it makes access to credibility to be cumbersome compared to the oil and gas that makes it easy or easier for community. Mind you, I didn't say for all contractors, I say for community. When it comes to BOI, they're doing a great work. And so we expect to see that in the agricultural sector. I know BOA is doing one digit. They're also doing 6 months moratorium. Why can't they go to 12 months moratorium so that the farmer could have done two times season before to enable them do more and get more returns. Another one that is flagging the country that we're still yet to get a hold of is insecurity. Insecurity has displaced most of the farmers from going to farm. Who want to go to farm when you know you won't come back alive? But like I said, it's a problem. We have solution to every problem. And then the 8th one is poor agricultural intervention because of the limit on budget, and which some school of thought have argued that the federal government should put education and agriculture as a priority. And and the last but not the least is poor farming methods, such as inappropriate application of herbicide and pesticide, whereby resulting to low nutrition in crops. So these are the few challenges. Like I said, we have enormous. Yes, but not able to identify based on time constraint. These are just the few we're looking at.
Very fantastic. Now, we've known that the challenges are enormous. Now, we won't dwell on that. The purpose of this engagement is to see what is already on ground, what investment we have, what collaborations, what are the situations can we be able to see how we can get out of this. Yesterday, the president also voted over 155 billion just to encourage governors to encourage food production and all of that. We've seen president distributing grants to state governors. But away from that, what other investment do we have in the agricultural sector that can aid us to go out of this food inflation? Because when people are hungry, the crisis and the many challenges that we are even listing, I mean, the one that is in future maybe even be greater than the challenges that we've identified with, because people start stealing, people start going to people's houses to get what to eat, people start attacking people on the road and all of that. What investment do we have that we can collaborate to rescue the situation we are currently?
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. We should understand that wherever we have challenges, we have opportunities. So I'll see this as an opportunity. Even in war, there's opportunity to make profit. So with all the challenges we have mentioned, we have investment opportunities, as you have noticed, and which the federal government is doing. They'll be doing a whole lot, as you've been saying. So we have collaboration opportunities with both private and public sector. So let's look at the private. Now, the opportunities we have with private sector. So because of the Maslow law of hierarchy, food still remains and takes priority, food and clothing. But right now, food is a major thing. I remember when there was cash trap, a certain man was naked. That shows that clothing went down the hierarchy. So food was most important because he needed money to buy food for his family. So what are the investment opportunities do we have here? We have our strategic crops based on their comparative analysis. We're talking about comparative advantages. We're talking about high priority crops, which is our staple food. So if the private companies we have in Nigeria, if they can work with our farmers to sponsor them, they are very sure wherever there's hunger, it means there's easy offtake. There are no losses, that's what I mean. So we have crops like maize, we have the sorghum, we have millet, we have tomatoes. That's for our two-season crops. We have our tree crops like cocoa. We need to take advantage. Companies, private companies, investors, whether foreign or local, need to take advantage. So there's opportunity because of the crisis. There's opportunity to process all of this, to produce and process, either working on their own or working with our farmers to bring forth this production. Now, concerning the government has been doing very well, but the investment opportunity I see here is the government working with the cooperative, our cooperative society. There is need for the government to restructure our cooperatives, our agriculture.
Because it seems a lot of people are not even having access to all of these.
Yes, I think the government have been working with association and NGOs. Now, not to negate the role this association and NGOs play, but the government do not have control over association and NGOs. We need to be very candid about that one. But the agricultural cooperative is being regulated by the government, and a whole lot of people don't know. Even those in government are not aware. The national APESs that they are being registered by the Federal Department of Cooperative. I'm sure you're not aware of that. Let me just say they, because I'm part of them. I'm the president of a national APES. We're being regulated by the Federal Department of Cooperative, and what it means is that whatever interventions is coming through us to the grassroots actually gets to the grassroots. So one of the problems we're facing is because the government is not working with the cooperative to make this farm inputs, those farm inputs, this farm implement, this access to credit available to the grassroots through the through some appropriate media, such as the national cooperative APESs. So I believe strongly that if the government should work with us, we'll be able to get this across to the grassroots.
There's a need to partner with associations, so as to
not association. The government need to partner with national cooperative APESs. There are two different things. Associations are registered by CAC. They are owned by individuals. The national cooperative APESs are being regulated by the government, by the Nigerian Cooperative Act 2004 as amended. What it means is that, and the Act gives the government the right to even sack the executives. You can't do that for association. You can't do that for an NGO or any company. So that fear, instills a fear on the cooperative to follow guidelines because they don't want to lose their position. So that is an opportunity I see for the government to harness, to work with the national APES. Yes, thank you.
All right. We've seen a lot of issues regarding the value chain. When you understand the fact that from those who are producing, from the local farmers, the drivers, and everyone whose roles are to be played just to get food, and because I'm most in particular, how can we distribute? Because distribution has also been a challenge to you. What, from your understanding about the whole sector, what do you feel about distribution? We've seen, I understand that the challenges of insecurity, bad roads and all of that have also in that there. What other steps can we, because sometimes we see that some states have food and the others do not. And sometimes we cannot move what is available in the north to the south, and we cannot move what is available in the south too. So the dissemination and distribution may be a challenge and also posing hunger in the land.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, we need to look at each of the zones, the high priority crops and their comparative advantages. It might shock you to know that we don't need to move things to and fro like that. For example, we move crops like tomatoes, which is of a high priority, all the way to Lagos. That's because in the southwest, because of the rain season, growing tomatoes there, it's not possible. But however, if we use greenhouses during the rainy season and plant open field during the dry season, we could have tomatoes. Nigeria is blessed. First of all, we need to face that our crops, our land is really, really fertile. And all of the zones have their high priority crops with that have comparative advantages. We need to first of all focus on harnessing that. And when we do that, we have little movement because each zone will be self-sufficient of a zone. So that we have to implement first. Tomatoes can be planted in the southwest. It can be planted in south-south. We don't need movement from one zone to another. Whether beans can be planted. I mean, I grew up in the south-south and I planted as a child. My mom planted these. I planted them myself. But because we haven't taken, we have to eradicate this thought of lack that, oh, I can't have a ranch in River State. We have to eradicate that. Nigerian in all of the 6 zones are sufficient, and we need to take advantage of that. When we do that, it will reduce the, how am I going to put it? It will reduce the pressure of really, really relying on road network to and fro, because we have to give ourselves, we're self-sufficient. I mean, one zone is bigger than Switzerland, and they're not taking anything from outside any country. They're producing everything for themselves. So it's now we get to know that when we have a problem, we have the solution within the problem, and we can solve it ourselves. So yes, this is kind of a disruptive recommendation, but that's actually the real solution. Nevertheless, while we are yet to take advantage of our high priority crops, we have the railway system. I don't know whether right now the railway from Kaduna down to the south has been opened up. That was the perfect system to move goods across on the rail as a cheaper option. Moving it by road, it will be very, very expensive when you look at the high rise of fuel.
And the risks involved.
Yeah, and the risk also involved. And on the rail is actually faster with a larger storage facility. So yes, that's why
you need to pay attention to fix the rail so that you can easily
not just fix the rail, but also ensure that there's security along the rail. Yes, that will ease movement of goods from one geopolitical zone to another, while we build up self-sufficiency within the geopolitical zone.
Now, I love that response because that's a solution you've also given to that. Look at the issues of subsistence farming. Prior to this time, you've laid emphasis. The families, practice some level of subsistence farming within the family, and they had food. But it seems we need a lot of orientation again to get people to understand that there's a need to do a bit in your location, in your house, in your farm, in your surrounding. What can you begin to do? Away from the fact that you need the good soil to be able to plant, but those practices were sustainable because at that moment, families were able to provide for the father, the mother, and the kids. And then what they were relying on was just for more consumption, not necessarily for all of that. So to you, where have you gone wrong? Where have you derailed? And what should be the campaign to get the psychology of Nigerians back to understand the role they have to play to rescue themselves now?
Okay, so everyone, including the pupil, is a stakeholder. We're all actors. So there are things we're doing years back that we had let go, we've not been doing, and we really need to go back to it. And that's one key example. I'll itemize them and explain them, is back to school farming. We need to introduce back to school farming in our schools so that we can teach and inculcate in our children, imbibe in them the love for them to have a flair for farming. For them not to think that farming is for the peasant woman or the peasant man. I mean, look at me, I'm a slave farmer. you know. So
exactly. Because people feel it's for those who are frustrated, or people who are meant to work on the farm have a different. Everybody has
and that we shouldn't have nice nails and look like this.
So you're a proud farmer.
Oh, I'm a slave farmer, not just proud farmer. I'm a slave farmer, and so we need to inculcate this in our children, and that can be done in the school where every child is involved in farming. They have these farming sections like we had when we were in school. And NACOWAP, sorry, I can't disassociate myself and this section from NACOWAP. That's one of NACOWAP's vision. Not our responsibility, I said the government gives it to us. That's one of our vision, to see how we can work with the government to bring back to school farming, and introduce, even plant a tree where a child in primary 1 in that class, they'll plant a tree and they'll see that tree grow and they'll eat from that tree. We'll take it out from the school, we go to the city, like here in Abuja. I hope the FCT minister is hearing me. We have a lot of crops that do not have economic value. I mean, a lot of tree crops. You go around, Abuja is beautiful. I love Abuja, I love the serenity. I love the trees all around, but what economic benefit do they have for me or to the man in the street? But I want to see an Abuja where, beside those non-economic trees, we plant cash crop trees. We say in Gwarinpa will be all mango. You can imagine in each district we have all, we call it district, is it not? In each, is it municipal? Yeah, we have various cash crop trees. I'm sure the whole of Nigeria will come into Abuja to stay. And there will be no hunger, because even the less privileged can eat from the fruits along the street. So we need to handle that. Then the NACOWAP is also looking at home gardening, inculcating our women. If you're a woman, we need to go back to home gardening. You remember when you were a girl, and your mom gives you that water to throw at the backyard. It has pepper, it has beans, it has okra. We plant water leaf. As a child, we didn't buy water leaf, we didn't buy bitter leaf. We didn't buy green leaf, all of those things. Even garden egg was behind us. So we need to go back to gardening. I mean, even you can join us. You don't have to be a woman to do that. It's not only the role of a woman. And everyone, whether you use your pots, that small space. Mind you, when you're doing this, you need to ensure you are aligned to the federal FCT policy of home gardening. So you don't bridge if you're living along the way. But if you're living in your estate, even the estates, SciTech is where I lived one time. They have a lot of trees that are not economical. So imagine if they plant all of those with cashew and avocado, which we use the butter avocado, which Nigerian is rich with. So those are those little things we need to do. Then you come to the woman in the village. It's time for them to come together to do cluster farming. Because of the security issues we have, we expect them to come together to have cluster farming, and that's one of the things NACOWAP is doing, bringing our women together, whether they have 1 plot, 2 plots. When they come together, is 1 hectare. We give them inputs, we give them implement, they work. With that, those are quick fixes. But believe me, those quick fixes can only support those that are doing it. If we have only 1% of those doing the quick fix, it's not going to feed a nation of 200 million. So we really need the government as the public investor that's seeing all this investment opportunity to come in and work with the appropriate bodies. In this case, as I've mentioned, the National Cooperative APESs. Thank you.
Yeah, because I was about getting to know what particularly your cooperative have been doing to also enhance this. What has been the cooperation with government so far? Can you really comment on that in a drive to what you are advocating for?
Okay, so let me introduce myself. I happen to be the president of National Coalition of Nigerian Women. Listen to the word, Coalition of Nigerian Women in Agricultural Business, Cooperative Society Limited, NACOWAP. So our cooperative is open to every Nigerian woman that is involved in any aspect of the value chain, whether crop production, livestock production, crop processing, livestock processing, aquaculture, fishery, agricultural services. In all of this, the women that are involved in any of these aspects are welcome to join us. What have we been doing? We just became a national APES not long ago, but in our individual way, we've been giving out inputs to the grassroots women, such as Maize. I think two months ago, precisely 8 weeks, we had some small inputs for the Federal Department of Cooperative as a welcome package, and we sent those inputs to the lowest women on our chain, the lowest grassroots women, and we're waiting for harvest so that we can bring some and show to the cooperative what that seed has done, the seed that were distributed to these women has done in the life of these women, that they have even abundance to give back to the cooperative. So that's what we've been doing. We also offer training. We train our women on improved method of farming and improved method of processing. For us, yes, free.
We do all of this free.
Yes, we do all that's free. Now, for us, we're taking cooperative from this reef and thrift of Kalu Kalu, put money together. No, we're strictly business women, and we're looking at the issues with tomatoes in the country now. We're looking at introducing tomato powder, one, to ensure that we reduce or even mitigate post-harvest losses and make tomatoes available on the table at all season. So those are the benefits that we're bringing to the nation. Thank you.
My thanks, Lady Grace Fredson, the President, National Coalition of Nigerian Women in Agriculture, Business, Cooperative Society, for your contributions. And of course, we do hope that some of these advocacy, many Nigerians will get to key behind it and see what they can do to rescue the alarming crisis that is quite staring before us, so that we can get the nation very proud and happy. Thanks for your advocacy and all what you do to give food surplus to the society. Really commend you on that. And that's where we'll go on a quick break right now. Once we return, we'll take on the discussions on the papers and also highlight some of these national issues. And again, thanks to Lady Grace Fredson, President of National Coalition of Nigerian Women. We'll go on a quick break, and once we return, we'll take on another discussion. Do stay with us.